We're going to talk for a while about equipping the next generation. This is something that I'm particularly keen about, that I've had a wonderful career in this industry lasting since John Logie Baird was a lad, and I've had a wonderful time, and it's really important that we maintain the excitement of working in this industry, as well as the fundamental qualities about it, of creativity, of delivering messages. And so, encouraging the next generation into the industry is a challenge, and equipping them so that they can use the skills they've learned directly in making content, whatever that content may be. And I think one of the points that will come out during the course of the next half hour or so is that the content of the future is changing, certainly, and YouTube has 300 hours uploaded to it every minute. That number's probably out of date by now. But at the same time, just across the canal here, people are making Coronation Street in a more sophisticated way than they did it 50 years ago, but still with the same core technologies. And in the studio block behind us, they're making Mastermind or Blue Peter. So these things aren't going to go away. Traditional broadcast production skills, blockbuster movies, YouTube content, highly authored, self-shot YouTube videos, they're all going to be around, and we all need to have the skill to know that the skills are going to be there to take that forward. Enough of me waffling as an introduction. The website for this session says we have an esteemed panel to discuss these topics. So I'm going to let them esteem themselves and introduce themselves. And Sam, if you'd start from the far end.
Yeah, so I'm Sam. I was a student that just graduated in July with Janan was one of my tutors, and Alex was the head of the year, so yeah.
And that's a student here at the University of Salford?
Yes, just over the way.
Just across the way, yeah.
Hi, I'm Beth Hewitt, and I was until recently the Director of Broadcast Media for the School of Arts and Media, and I'm now just transitioning into the role of being Director for Media Engagement and Partnerships and developing our portfolio within the School of Arts and Media, just here.
I'm Janan Yakula. I'm a lecturer in film production at University of Salford. I've been here 3 years now.
I'm Alex Lichtenfels. I'm the Programme Lead for Film Production, also at University of Salford, and I've been here for about a year and a half.
And it's worth pointing out that both Janan and Alex have had a career in doing the job for real. I mean, just give us a hint of what you used to be before you became an academic.
Yeah, so I still am an independent filmmaker, made lots of short films and documentaries, and then I also was a producer in corporates and advertising for high-end clients down in London. So did that for 10 years before I became an academic.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Janan?
I've done a variety of works. I've done client work, corporate work. I've done some short films, and I've done work with artists as well, and their work's been exhibited around the country.
I wonder first, Beth, we are taking the University of Salford as a convenient microcosm because we're next door to it. Can you just tell us a little bit about the setup in the university and how that compares to other media schools around the country?
I think in terms of our base here in Media City, obviously it's a hugely valued space, and with that comes all the developments of those relationships with the people in Media City and the different companies in Media City and the stakeholders, but also further afield. I guess what I would say though is that if you'd taken a group of people and put them in Media City and said now make the most of it, they probably wouldn't have done quite as much work as we have, because so much of our work is that we have people from industry working with us. So I would say 70% of the people who are teaching over in Media City are from an industry background. So my background was I worked for many, many years for ITV in Granada, starting off as an assistant editor and going into research and producing and directing, and then eventually ending up at Salford. And I think that currency, so although I've been there a while, we get a lot of new people in who are constantly in touch with ITV, with the Indies, with London companies, with VFX, Post, all those sort of things. And those relationships are born out of work that's gone before it. So I would say it's a fantastic place to be, but it's not just the building, it's the people in there, and it's the trust that the community around here has in us and vice versa. I don't know what that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Sam, you said you just graduated. What brought you to well, did you do the film production degree or?
Yeah, so I literally lived down the road, so Salford was like a mecca for media as it started. But I originally did a game design course and then switched to film because of the technology that the course provided as soon as I'd come on for first year, so
okay.
that was like the main reason.
But you were designing games here at Salford?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Salford
okay.
Uni as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. And was it the technology or the creativity that made you make the jump?
Well, I was originally going to go to London, but then I was convinced by the open day for the tutors on the courses saying that Media City was the place to be, and it definitely has been. Like, you can't fault everyone that works in the building, and just the vibe that it gives you, it makes you feel creative, so it's good.
Cool. Alex, the degree courses here are inevitably in these days of strange pressures on higher education. They are degree courses, so they have certain constraints so that students feel they're getting value for money. How do you line that up with the ability to produce somebody who is a useful member of the creative community?
Of course, it's about learning the skills that industry wants, but everyone that I talk to in industry, when they talk about what they want to see in graduates, they do want skills, but they don't just want skills. They also want graduates who can think for themselves, who know how to be creative, who know how to contextualize the work that they're doing. From my point of view, there really isn't a kind of there isn't a tension there between the theory and the practice, or having an academic program that leads to a vocational career.
And can I just add to that, because I think that's a really important point, and if a course is really running well, there'll be a lot of discussion between the theorists, as I tend to say, the pure academics. I don't think it's an academic term, but I use that coming from industry, but the pure academics and the practitioners academics. So, and I think there's a lot of discussion to align those two so that they are purposeful. There's always more work we can do on that, but actually if you get that aligned, then you're actually then helping and supporting that student when they go out. As Alex said about critical thinking, it's key.
It's very much a holistic process in terms of bringing everything together.
Janan, I just wanted to develop that point into, we obviously have to devote energies to practical elements of the course. So how much can you do? How much can you provide the equipment and the facilities that you need, that the students need?
We've done very well to provide the students with what they need. We've been very much supported in that process from the higher ups at the university. It's been a very thoughtful process in terms of how we approach that, in terms of ensuring that we're thinking about how the students are progressing through the levels in terms of what we provide them with at level 4, 5 and 6. So level 4, they're back shooting HD and from that point of view, and it's that learning curve, introduction to things like depth of field, cinema, focus and thinking about why they're shots and telling the narrative, and then we progress up from that through the years. In terms of the kit, again, we chose not to buy the kit all at once. Okay, so it's been a very gradual purchase process. So we've only actually completed that process these last 3 years. So when I started, we were looking at how we were going to equip the level 5 students and what do we actually need from those level 5 students in terms of their progression. So we looked at a variety of like cameras, for example, from that perspective in terms of what do we need those students to learn and how are we going to get them ready for outside as well from that point of view. So we looked at cameras that were like very menu driven, box driven, from that point of view, but we actually settled on the Panasonic, the Vericam, because we felt, for a number of reasons, that it would really teach the students that want to become cinematographers. It will really give them that skills basis because it feels like this might sound crazy, but it feels like a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
It feels like a camera. So from that, they can really learn from it. Plus, there was other things related to it, like it's industry Netflix approved, so they're using it. We've got the dual ISO, which is quite important for when we want to teach lighting to them. Sometimes less is more. It's not about putting loads of lights up as well and thinking about how you're lighting creatively. So it's kind of been like that process, and then when they progress to third year, again the camera level goes up again. So we've got some Arris and Vericam 35s as well. So basically when the student leaves, they have literally everything. In terms of they can leave, they can pick up any camera, and they should feel comfortable to pick up any camera, even if it's one they've not experienced, and go, I can work that out, and I can be of assistance to you, so to you out there, in terms of whoever you're working for.
Sure. Beth, I know you've been involved in setting up relationships with industry to help with the equipping, amongst other things. Tell us a little bit about how you can work with the manufacturing side, first of all, too.
Well, I mean, I think you'll probably want to talk specifically about your Panasonic experience as well. But I mean, I think it's key that, just listening to what you were saying, that we're listening to industry and that we have that dialogue. And I think probably over the last sort of 2 years, for me, there's been a sort of sea change of industry and HE working much better together. Yeah. For a while it was very much us and them, and for a while it was us saying, well, this is the sort of person that we're trying to train and turn out and develop, and industry saying, well, you're not getting this quite right. But I think that really has actually come of age now, and it feels very collegiate. There's a real need and a real drive to get the students to a certain point, and for industry to understand what point we're going to be able to get them to realistically, and for them to support on that journey as well, and then out at the other end. And I think there really has been a kind of change. It's very collegiate now, and I find that working with industry and industry working with us actually is great at the moment. There's masses of opportunities, which is fantastic for students. So we have a lot of industry coming directly to us saying, can you do this? We'd like this. What about this? Making all those suggestions. So it's not necessarily so much us having kind of knock on industry's door, but industry also knocking on our door, which, I know that's a bit of an overview, but it'd be interesting to see what you feel as well out there.
So, Sam, you recently graduated. What does a graduate look like? I mean, what do you come out? We were chatting over coffee just now about a degree show. So presumably, you have created content in the element in which you're interested.
The dream is to be a cinematographer because I kind of focus my area in camera. But you take what you can get as soon as you get out of graduating. So I work for a YouTube channel at the minute called Nomad Barber, and we make kind of documentaries on different barbering cultures and different content for his barbershops and stuff like that. So that can be like a stepping stone as well to get into the industry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what did you make while you were here? What were you working on while you were a student?
So when I was a student, the biggest project for me was my third year project called Fantopia. If you know a game called Dungeons and Dragons, we made like a board game based around that, and there was 4 children playing the game. But the main aspect of it was that the third year film wasn't supposed to be something just for the grade. We wanted to push it after. I mean, we haven't been able to do that much now because all our group's been split up, but I mean, we'd really want that to kind of make an impact outside of uni as well as just inside uni. So
You're being very coy because it has been in some good film festivals.
yeah,
so
well,
it's
there's only like 3 or 4, but you know, it's better than none, I guess.
That sounds like quite a success to me.
Yeah.
I think that really
and
does.
The Brave as well, second year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the second year film did quite well as well.
So you're really, I mean, to link these two threads, then you're making stuff that is that has a value of its own. It's appearing in film festivals, and at the same time, the university is building strong links with potential employers to say, you know, well, what we're looking for is somebody that can. And you were saying earlier, Beth, that that may be in surprising areas. It may be the sort of traditional skills, you know, studio lighting and the like.
Yeah, I just think it's quite easy to think that everything has to be, you know, kind of creative digital technologies, but actually the skills that you're talking about and the skills that have been taught on film production are actually, you know, obviously a variation on a theme, but they are the traditional skills, and industry still needs those. So I think it's about getting that balance. It's about the creative content, the story, the delivery of content, working with the creative technologies, and it's quite easy to lose sight of that, but we mustn't. And I don't want to sound kind of, you know, by any means sort of dinosaur-like in that sense. But I actually think it's really key that we equip the students both with the skills that they'll need immediately and also an element of future-proofing them. So, and that's quite a hard combination to get, as everybody knows, but that, I think for me it's key.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, the kit that we've bought, I mean, what we've invested in, it is about, we've thought ahead, we've thought about what we're buying specifically to be able to future-proof the future generations and the current generation of filmmakers.
But it is really important, isn't it, that you produce skills that are relevant today, and as I said earlier, people are going to, you know, Coronation Street is never going away. Strictly Come Dancing is never going away. Traditional broadcast production things will always be necessary. We've just added lots more opportunities, and Beth's about to say something.
Well, no, I'm saying I think one of our key drivers for us as well within the university and specifically within the School of Arts and Media is that so much of the work we do is actually in collaboration with industry from the off. So from the development of a new course, we would absolutely not even put, you know, pen to paper, finger to keyboard, before we've talked with industry. So, for example, we've just developed our MA in production management, and that was absolutely done hand in hand with industry, right from the off, about what they needed, about actually writing the modules and the delivery of those modules. So we've engaged industry throughout the whole process. And then from there, the modules and the projects that sit within those modules are very industry based. So we work a lot with industry. Industry will come to us with a live brief or a problem or, you know, a concept that they want answering, a challenge. So all the way along, the students are engaging, networking and developing those, what people used to call soft skills. I think they're actually critical skills, you know, how to be that creative entrepreneur. What does it mean to be, you know, run your own small business, which so many young people leave now and set out to do, whereas 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago even, that wasn't the thing. But we make sure those leadership skills are really, really predominant as well within our programme. So I think that's, for me, the key driver for anything that we do. We ask ourselves, how will this be relevant to our students when they leave? Taking as well that idea that this is a degree, it isn't training. There's a difference between the training and the skills training and the degree. But I think we've relatively successfully merged those two. There's still work to be done, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like we do. In terms of, because it's not just for us. We want our students to think about, for example, just going back to camera operation, that side of thing, is thinking about, yes, it's doing it, but it's also thinking about why you're doing it.
Yeah.
What is that shot saying from that point of view? And that is where, very like an example of very much where our theory and practice comes together and synergizes from that point of view.
No, I pick up on that. I mean, I think it is. It's the why, right?
Yeah,
It's
why,
the.
yeah.
It's not just the how do I operate this camera, but how am I telling a story through using this camera? How am I addressing a technical challenge that I have through this piece of technology? That's a sort of key part of that kind of blend of theory and practice. It's not just kind of a thing where we have academics over here and then vaguely they're related, but it's a sort of integral part of the creative process of becoming a creative practitioner. I mean, I hope you don't mind me saying something, maybe you can pick up on it, but earlier downstairs we were talking about the dual ISO on the Panasonic. You can teach a student how to use a dual ISO, fine.
But when to use it's different, I guess.
And in what context? So, I mean, do you want to maybe give your example?
Yeah, so one of the scenes in the films we did for the third year film was in like an 1850s pub, and it was only lit by candlelight, so we needed that extra light boost. And the Panasonic smashed it with that. Like, we couldn't have used any other camera, I don't think, so that really helped.
But in a way, you have that choice. You have the choice to
Yeah,
light
exactly.
it by
Yeah,
candlelight
like there was lots of other films in the year that didn't require the 5000 ISO, so they didn't need to use that. But because we were taught how to use that, I chose to do that scene with just candlelight, if that makes sense. Yeah. So.
And then it becomes, creative freedom. Really.
Exactly, creative
You've got the
freedom,
opportunity to do something. Otherwise, you end up faking candlelight, and it never looks very good.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think HE is, it's an ever-changing landscape, and it is under pressure. And I think we actually have a duty, might be too strong a word, but anyway, duty to make sure that our students are equipped and do go out into the world and understand it. I speak to so many people who say, when I left university 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they just said, right, thank you, see you, bye, and it isn't like that now. We very much want to make sure that they're confident, able, they've got a network, and I think that's the amazing thing about being here in Media City, that if a student is eager and, up for it, they will always have that network when they leave. And it might only be 3 people in their network. It might be 10 people in their network. But that's enough to give them those stepping stones to actually go out. And I think that, again, is where industry are brilliant. We've done quite a lot of mentoring schemes where industry come in and support 1 or 2 of our students. The students opt for it. They can do that, and we're building those mentoring schemes. It's a fantastic way for industry to sort of talent spot and to invest, I guess, in students, even from their first year. So they can see that talent pipeline. They can see it when students come in, where they end up in 3 years' time, and they can also advise. They become brilliant advisors to the course and to the staff. So the mentoring, although I'm not sure how much we were doing it then, but I think we're gathering speed.
Yeah, they're starting. I mean, when I was, I think it was third year, I got a placement with Provision, who were downstairs.
Brilliant.
So that was like 3 weeks work with them. And then I got to learn how the industry works by renting equipment, because that's what I'm going to be having to do if I start, coming into the industry eventually.
Yeah.
I guess you could say we don't just buy kit that's future-proof, we future-proof our students as well.
Yes.
It's probably a way of looking at it too from that point of view.
Janan, I just want to pick up on something you were talking about earlier, where you were saying that students are equipped with the ability to lead, and that's obviously tremendously important. But it is also a collaborative industry, and one of the problems could be that students come out thinking, I've got letters after my name for this, I can do it. And then they've got to fit into a team, and it may well be a long-established team. So how do you get over this idea that collaboration and teamwork is also vital?
From the first day they come through the door.
Yeah.
In terms of I teach the level 4 film practice modules, so they're putting a team straight away from the offset. in terms of their filmmaking, and that carries on throughout the 3 years. And it is about instilling, getting them to think professionally from the word go, and get them thinking about what teamwork is. And we do exercises like that as well. But I mean, when they are working in team, understanding that they will have issues within that team, and that they do need to try and work through their issues professionally, because outside in industry, that is what you are going to be doing. So yeah, it is from the very beginning, teamwork orientated, and we also tell them that as well when they leave, they are each other's first network for anything as well, from that point of view.
I think it's just important to pick up on that, because there is always that anomaly of we have to get the students are producing films, they're directing films, they're DOPing, they're first AD, they're whatever. Yeah. So you've had these students for 3 years, you've got them to a point where they create their film, and then they go out into the world and they become the runner.
Yeah. True.
Bear with them, because there's a bit of an adjustment going on, because you suddenly have to crash land and go, I'm not actually the producer. I'm not the director, and that's at least 10 years off down that road. But they need adjustment, and I think it's for us to let industry know that. And I think for a while we didn't, and I really think that was a serious omission on both sides. Because, the number of times I had people going, they think they're producers, they think they're directors. Who do these people think they are? Yeah. Well, of course, they only think what they are because they've been doing that in a university setting. We talk to them about the reality when you go out is you will start there. But until they've experienced that reality, it sometimes doesn't hit home. So occasionally, I think you do get those type of, is it quite tough, that? I don't know.
Finding any work in the industry is pretty tough unless you've got your first credit. So it's all about like who you know at the minute. Obviously what you know really helps, but
But you do still need the contacts.
What, sorry?
You do still need the contacts.
Oh, yeah, the contacts are huge. Like, even if it is your closest friend, because when I graduated my second year, a few of my friends, they got runner work on Netflix, The Last Kingdom. I don't really want to ask them, but like, there's a contact that you can use eventually to kind of get your way in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd echo all of that. I mean, the only thing I'd add to it is that, I don't think there's anything wrong with encouraging our graduates to go on, continue making films when they graduate and making great stuff. And that, that's, I want them to become part of industry. I want them to start at the bottom and learn their profession, and that's really important. But I don't think there's anything wrong with going and challenging what's out there as well, and being innovative and making great stuff. And that's another way of kind of progressing in the world, in the industrial world. So,
well, the industry's changing that much that actually, that is happening anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so young people are going, we're doing our own thing, folks. There's this brave new world out there, and that's what we're doing. So I think that's where the traditional and the new are meeting, and when, particularly around kind of art, directing, design, graphic design, there's so many small startup companies, just for example in the Northern Quarter, and it's fantastic to see, so many young people doing their own startups. They've got no ambition to sort of start right at the bottom. They're starting their own startups and doing okay. Yeah. So I think it's that combination of, that the world is shifting.
I think you're right that the world is shifting. The industry is changing, and we have, the biggest spenders in production at the moment are companies that wouldn't even know what television was 5 years ago. Netflix, Amazon, the people we buy books from, are suddenly spending hundreds of millions on television production, and at the same time, you're getting things that are much more rewarding than cat videos on YouTube. So how do you as an academic body keep yourselves up to date, keep yourselves on top of all of this so that you can provide sensible guidance to the students? Alex, what are your thoughts?
Watch Netflix. I suppose the honest answer to that, my honest answer to that is I talk to the students about what they're watching, because it actually probably comes more from them than it does from me. it's that generation that's driving that change, I think. You know, and I love it. I love getting recommendations from students about YouTube channels or web series or the latest thing on Amazon. And you know, sometimes you know, I'll stumble across stuff myself, or but it's interesting because you know the media that I engage with, which is probably slightly more traditional media, you know, and might get recommendations from TV or film reviews in The Guardian, and that's not, or certainly not exclusively what my students are watching. So I get it from them more than anything, you know, chatting to them about it. Yeah.
Janan?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I echo what Alex says. It is through speaking to students and things from that point of view. But it's also coming to events like this and knowing what's out there. It's speaking with companies like Panasonic as well, and knowing what's happening in terms of that from that perspective, and reading where you can as well, as much as you possibly can, in terms of finding also what's going on from there. So that's the sort of channels I tend to go with.
And Beth, you were telling me that you encourage the academic staff to get off their butts and go make a programme every now and then.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you know, part of we have some weird, strange allotted time in our workload balance, strange HE thing. Don't even get me going on it. But I absolutely encourage the staff to go and work within industry. Go and shadow people in Doc 10, go and talk to people, spend 6 to 10 days a year, if possible, out with industry. It's a tough ask, and not everybody can do it, but if we don't upskill the staff, that's where the cracks start to appear. So we absolutely need to be doing that. And one of our camera people went out this summer to shoot and direct a series for Channel 4, a wildlife series, and was in South Africa filming. And absolutely, we have to do that because, you know, they are through and through industry people. And if we don't, yes, we can listen to our students, but also we need to have those technologies and skills and understanding of the way the industry is. So I think it's a hard thing because everybody works so hard. You know, imagine taking 10 days, 6 days out of your time to come into HE. It might be worth it though, honestly. Everybody's welcome. I really think it's a great thing where we can do that. But we need to do that. And, you know, for example, we've been running a series of seminars and sessions with Line Pictures and Studio Lambert. And I see a time when our courses, those are not extracurricular. They are absolutely embedded into the curriculum. And I really see a time, not far off, within the next 12 to 24 months, where that starts to be absolutely centre frame. And we work very closely. So they're not just guest lecture. It's slightly shifted than just getting somebody in to talk for 2 hours to our students and go away. It's actually building those partnerships and building those legacies so that it's meaningful for Studio Lambert, meaningful for Lime, meaningful for the BBC, rather than just going in and going away again. But actually each of those HE institutions needs to kind of be building that legacy, I guess, to support industry and vice versa.
I think that's really, really important. And I suppose it takes us on to the last question, which is, you know, what do we need to do in the future? How do we, you know, what have we got to change now to be even more relevant and more in the future? And Sam, obviously, we're going to come to you. You've just finished the degree. How would you change the curriculum? Don't feel you have to change it, and don't feel you have to upset anybody.
I honestly think, because I was the first year on our course,
Yep.
so kind of the guinea pigs, I guess. But the best thing about it was the fact that they didn't set a brief specific to a genre or anything like that. You could literally create whatever you wanted, whether that be documentary or fiction. So I'd probably keep that the same if you could. I do think it was focused heavily on technical side, and producing is a huge part of making anything. So if there was anything that I could improve on, it would be the producing side of it. But other than that, I enjoyed every minute I was on the course. So.
Any other thoughts on the future? how we can.
Some more collaboration, you
Yeah.
know, working absolutely, you know, events as you said like this, and integrating and not just upskilling the students, but upskilling staff, and also having industry input into our courses and how it's shaped.
Sure. It's been really, really interesting talking to you all. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
So, please, your applause for Sam, Beth, Janan and Alex. Thank you very much indeed.